We're starting with Raw, where Jey Uso challenged WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther and seemed poised to win his first singles title before his brother Jimmy interfered. Ringing the bell constantly, Jimmy provided enough of a distraction to put Jey off his game, and Gunther would capitalize and win to keep his historic title reign going. In clips released by WWE on Instagram, a fiery Jimmy told Jey not to hate him and said that he had one clear message, that no matter how big Jey gets, Jimmy will always be his big brother. It's been speculated for months that the Usos would compete against each other at WrestleMania, and this week's Raw certainly indicates that will be the case. If so, it'll be the first singles match between them on TV, and the first brother versus brother match at WrestleMania since Matt and Jeff Hardy in 2009. And we'll have to see which Uso stands tall. Well, Gunther retained the Intercontinental Championship this week. That wasn't always the plan, at least according to the Raw rundowns laid out before the show. Following Raw, it was reported that many in WWE had been of the opinion that Jey would be winning the title, and rundowns for the show listed Jey as the winner of the match. When Ringside News reached out to a tenured member of the WWE creative team to know the truth behind the aforementioned report, though, they were told the story is completely fabricated. It appears that Gunther's victory was never in any doubt, leaving some to speculate that WWE leaked false rundowns, saying Jey was winning to keep the actual report a secret. If so, it wouldn't be the first time WWE has used rundowns to keep their plans under wraps, as they have used fake segments to cover up surprising returns or debuts in the past. Jey Uso's WrestleMania plans may seem clear, but there's no sign of what Gunther will do this April, but whatever it is, it will see the Austrian as the Intercontinental Champion. But what do you think of this story? Should Jey have been the one to dethrone Gunther this week, or did the right man retain? Let us know down in the comments. In the weeks running up to Elimination Chamber Perth, it was believed that Jade Cargill would be competing in the Women's Chamber match in what would be her second match for WWE. As we saw on Raw, though, the final spot in the match went to Raquel Rodriguez, raising questions as to why WWE pulled one of their most promising young superstars off the show. While speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed plans for Cargill, saying that WWE felt that Jade competing in the Chamber didn't make sense. Jade doesn't have a history with any of the other superstars in the match, and being thrust into such a position may have caused the fans to turn on her, believing she'd be getting preferential treatment. The Elimination Chamber is the final pit stop before WrestleMania 40, and it's certain WWE will have something planned for Jade Cargill this April, but it won't involve this Saturday's show in Perth. Do you think taking Jade out of the Chamber match was the right call? And what do you think WWE should do with Cargill at WrestleMania? Give your suggestions in the comments. Over to NXT as Andre Chase and Duke Hudson interrupted Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, followed by Nathan Frazer and Axiom, and Ava set up a #1 contenders match for later in the show. The Wolf Dogs have found chemistry on the mic as well as in the ring, and hopefully this team doesn't end too quickly once Breaker begins working on SmackDown. In fact, Corbin and Breaker should work together on the Blue brand as well long term. They complement each other very well and cover up each other's weaknesses. Vic Joseph reminded fans that Breaker had signed with SmackDown, though that was not part of this segment otherwise. It is good to see Chase U back with confidence, and Chase looked clean cut for the first time in months and threw out some of his signature catchphrases again. With that said, Frazer and Axiom are the most exciting tag team in NXT right now, so it's good they were not forgotten in the conversation for future title opportunities. Ahead of the #1 contenders tag match, Thea Hale looked conflicted as Chase U headed to the ring, but she headed to the back with Jacy Jayne and Jazmyn Nix. Duke Hudson was the dominant man in this fight, but it was Andre Chase that had to step up, and that's exactly what the Professor did as he'd catch Nathan Frazer with a roll-up for the win. This was a fun match which saw Frazer and Axiom wipe out their opponents with a pair of topes each to their opponents, standing tall together in the ring in a cool spot. Once again, Frazer and Axiom steal the show. This tag team needs to be kept in the running and maybe pushed up to the main roster together. They've made every opponent look better. With that said, this was one of their weaker recent battles when compared to the matches with the Wolf Dogs and Malik Blade and Idris Enofe, but it was still the best in-ring action of the night. Post-match though, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson attacked all four men and would stand tall over the top teams in NXT. It's hard to say if the right team won, as both should get a title shot soon, but the wrong team certainly stood tall at the end, and though the OC could use an NXT reset, the team should not be in the title picture right away. On their way out, Gallows and Anderson warned that they were in NXT as long as they wanted to be and would do what they wanted to do. In a backstage segment, Thea Hale and Fallon Henley bonded in the locker room over the recent troubles with men and friends, and they would make for an interesting tag team. Ridge Holland explained in a pre-taped interview that he did not deserve to be judged for what he did to Gallus, but promised to apologize next week live. In North American title action, Lexis King was distracted by Mr. Stone, who came out during the match, and this caused King to lose the little advantage he had over Oba Femi. The Colossal Champion planted King with a pop-up powerbomb to win in a fine match that came off too superfluous considering the few weeks of build behind it. Femi was, of course, the right winner and has made an impression so far in NXT and needs big defenses like this to build his aura as an unstoppable beast until the right top star challenges him. As for King, this was another week and another unimpressive performance, as he may need a complete character reset soon enough. In a pre-match interview, Roxanne Perez warned everyone that she was done playing by the rules until she got her title back. Sure enough, Perez made quick work of Wren Sinclair, planting her with pop rocks, then locking in a crossface to force a submission in as clean of a squash match as one can get. Byron Saxton did a very poor job on commentary trying to explain why Perez is the heel for wanting a fair title shot, and Perez ran through Sinclair to show her increased aggression. Sinclair showed her experience moving smoothly throughout this quick match with Perez, but this was never about her, and it was smart to keep her offense limited as Perez leans more heel. Hopefully after this show, NXT will do a better job establishing why Lyra Valkyria seems to be ducking the obvious challenge of Perez. Another mystery video package was shown with the following message: "Men deny their truth. I will be a mirror to it," with fans still speculating as to who this could be. Given previous vignettes, it's believed that this could be a Japanese wrestler, perhaps Kazuchika Okada, who left New Japan recently, though it's been reported he's set to join AEW. If not Okada, then the mystery signing could be Tama Tonga, Julia, or someone else entirely. And who do you expect to be responsible for these mystery vignettes? During last week's AEW Rampage, Jeff Hardy suffered a broken nose during his match with Sammy Guevara, as both he and Matt looked furious and flipped off Guevara at the event. Some feared Jeff had suffered a concussion during the match, but it appears that was not the case, but this situation has once again raised questions about safety within AEW. Speaking on his 83 Weeks podcast, former WCW president Eric Bischoff shared his 2 cents on the matter and believes AEW is to blame for encouraging such high-risk offense. He said, "Very concerned for Jeff. He took that knee right to the side of the face. I don't know where it actually hit him, but it looked to me like it planted right on his cheekbone, his temple. That's a lot of power coming down off. That's a lot of weight coming down off that top turnbuckle, and there's nowhere for Jeff's head to go. So fearful clearly, I didn't really ask myself why. But I think your observation's probably mostly correct. Part of it is too because of the nature of what AEW finds appealing is so much of the high risk, justified this is awesome chants, which are usually a result of something really, really high risk and stupid. That's what they're going for. I think the talent probably feels like they've got to go to an extreme to get over. Particularly because you're wrestling in front of 2,000 people on a television show. The audience isn't into your shit at all from the opening match on. It's like wrestling in front of a high school cafeteria crowd. That makes it harder for talent, and they push even further, and they do things that are even riskier to try to overcome that issue." Expressing worry for Jeff Hardy, Bischoff highlighted the impact of Guevara's knee landing on Hardy's face, saying AEW's focus on "this is awesome" moments is often achieved through high-risk moves. It remains to be seen when Jeff will next be in the ring, or if AEW will take measures following this incident. And do you think Bischoff has a point? Share your take down in the comments. After AEW All Out 2022, Ace Steel was fired for his role in the backstage fight, but was brought back quietly in 2023, only to be cut again once CM Punk got fired for the All In fight with Jack Perry. During TNA Wrestling's Bound for Glory pay-per-view last year, it was said that Ace Steel worked as a producer for the event and got very high marks for his work, and this show wasn't a one-off. Speaking in a recent interview with John Pose on the two-man power trip, Ace Steel confirmed that he is currently serving as a producer at TNA Wrestling and is enjoying his role there. TNA is the latest home for Steel, who had previously served as a coach at the WWE Performance Center before his AEW move, and will hopefully be incident-free from here on. At AEW Revolution, Sting will wrestle in his final ever match, ending a legendary career that has seen the Icon work with some of the biggest names in wrestling. In both WCW and TNA, Sting worked with Kevin Nash, but despite the connection between the two, Big Daddy Cool won't be watching Sting's upcoming tag team title match in person. On his Click This podcast, Nash revealed that his contract with WWE won't allow him to attend Revolution despite his camaraderie with the Stinger. He said, "He asked me to be a part of it. I just said that, with my positioning with WWE, I couldn't even be, if I went in the crowd, I would be, I asked WWE, when you ask and there's that 3-second pause, it's like when you be on the road and you're like, hey babe, we're at Fort Wayne, I'm gonna go to Stewie's strip joint. You got a problem with that? Nothing." Though Kevin Nash might not be able to attend the pay-per-view, he would surely enjoy his friend's big match. And while he's not being allowed to attend, you know to never say never in wrestling. Perhaps WWE will grant Nash a one-time pass as a show of respect to Sting. And would you like to see Diesel appear at AEW Revolution 2024? Sound off down below. Back to NXT, and with new music, Brooks Jensen was looking to make an impact in his match, but it was Josh Briggs who got the win, a definitive end to their time as a tag team. Jacy Jayne would defeat Arianna Grace after some outside interference from Jazmyn Nix, and it was odd to see Grace in close to a babyface role, given that she's supposed to be a heel. Carmelo Hayes headed back to the barbershop, explaining that he got Trick Williams before Trick got him. He then told Ilya Dragunov to put his NXT championship on the line if he wanted to talk again, and Dragunov issued a warning and vowed to make Melo pay. Lash Legend beat Kalani Jordan in perhaps the most solid Legend has looked in the ring, proving that for her prior inconsistent matches, Lash can shine in the ring with the right opponent. Lyra, Valkyria, and Shotzi barely got going before Shotzi landed badly on an apron DDT. She was unable to keep weight on her left knee, and the match was called off. Ava announced that the fans would get an NXT Women's title match and said that this was now an open challenge, one that was answered by Lash Legend. In her second match of the night, Legend was given the chance to shine before the Valkyrie dropped her off the second rope and hit a diving splash to retain her title. This was an unfortunate situation, and we're sending our best wishes to Shotzi on a smooth recovery from her ACL tear, and hopefully she can come back better than ever and get more opportunities like this. With no time to get ready, Valkyria and Legend did what they could to give the fans a title match, and while it was hardly a clean match, Lash showed off more of her growing in-ring arsenal. The finish felt rushed, but that's to be expected for a match called on the fly, and it was miraculous that the two were able to string anything together with their shared experience. Valkyria would have likely retained no matter who she faced last night, as the Smart Money is still on a match with Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver. And that was NXT in what was a rather flat night of action that was especially deflated given the circumstances of the women's main event title match. There is an argument to be made that WWE should not have aired the original title match after the injury, though that should be a decision made by Shotzi either way. Lash Legend did her best despite lacking the experience to work back-to-back matches, let alone one called as an audible, and it was impossible to shake off an awkward feeling. Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs had a good one, but it probably should have opened over the rough North American Championship squash, while Chase U and Frazer Axiom was overshadowed by the OC. The rest of the action was flat, though it was hardly surprising given that each bout was between 3 and 5 minutes and largely one-sided. The best promos of the night were the pre-taped answers from Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov, who should make NXT more exciting next week when they face off. Next month, WWE 2K24 will be released, and this week, fans and gamers alike got some huge news about a returning feature in the game. On Twitter, the WWE Games account shared a video of fan messages asking for the return of special guest referee matches before cutting to Randy Orton in a guest referee role. The guest referee mode allows players to have a different level of fun in the ring as they can call the action, often unfairly, to ensure their preferred superstar gets the win. With the game's release on March 8th and the deluxe edition launching 3 days earlier, it won't be long before WWE 2K24 and the return of the much requested special guest referee mode. Shortly before WWE's NXT Vengeance Day, Booker T revealed that due to a health issue, he wouldn't be commentating at the show, as he's missed the following tapings of NXT on the USA Network. During a recent installment of his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker provided an encouraging health update, expressing that he is steadily improving each day. Booker reassured his listeners by reiterating the positive feedback he received from his doctors, saying he's on track for a strong comeback in about a week's time. Fans eagerly await Booker T's return to the commentators table, where he undoubtedly brings his unique flair and expertise to the broadcast, and those fans won't be waiting for much longer. Between Janelle Grant's lawsuit and the Ashley Massaro allegations once again coming to light, WWE is under a severe spotlight right now when it comes to alleged inappropriate behavior by staff. Back in 1992, Tom Cole, a former ring boy, accused Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin of having inappropriate sexual allegations with him, while Cole was underage at the time. Phillip was later rehired by Vince McMahon on the mandate he stay away from kids, and Cole also accused Pat Patterson of making sexual gestures before Cole and WWE reached an out-of-court settlement. Tom Cole committed suicide in 2021, but his brother Lee has continued to seek the truth for his brother, and in a new interview, Lee Cole spoke with another former WWF ring boy. This ring boy, only known as Sean in the interview, discussed Mel Phillips, saying he had a tendency to focus on the feet of the ring boys, often using leg holds when in hotel rooms. Sean added that it felt like there were two Mels, the one that would ensure the ring boys and crew were fed and made it to shows, and the other Mel that came out once the hotel room door shuts. While Phillips died back in 2012, the allegations on him are still intact, and Lee Cole wants to bring out the truth, and we'll continue following this worrying situation very closely. TNA Wrestling News now, as the company has big plans for its future, and those plans certainly involve former world champion Josh Alexander. This week it was confirmed that the Walking Weapon has re-signed a multi-year deal with TNA, and we'll have to see if he ever regains the title that was taken from him due to an injury. More from WWE Elimination Chamber Perth, as not everyone will be going to WWE's first PLE in Australia since 2018, and Kayla Braxton is among those staying in the United States. On Twitter, Braxton wished her co-workers a safe journey down under and said that she hopes to be on the next trip to Australia. In the meantime, Braxton joked that she hopes that the roster send back some cuddly friends like kangaroos, koalas, and wallabies, saying it'd be so appreciated. Braxton has been an integral part of WWE's TV over the years, but she won't have a role in Perth. But maybe WWE's next time down under will be different for the correspondent. And we're ending with the late, great Eddie Guerrero, who would arrive in style to the ring in custom lowriders, and recently one of those vehicles was purchased by none other than Vanilla Ice. For the surprisingly low value of $15,000, Ice purchased the vehicle, with many believing the original seller did not know the true value of the car. An Eddie Guerrero lowrider could have easily gone for six figures, and the seller even mentioned having invested an additional $30,000 in upgrades. The distinctive lowrider also boasts a custom WWE Championship belt, adding to its allure for wrestling fans, and while Eddie may not have owned the car, it was certainly used on WWE TV. The car had the honor of being featured in a photo shoot for Lowrider magazine, with Eddie Guerrero posing alongside it, further cementing that this isn't a knockoff scam. For $15,000, Vanilla Ice got the bargain of a lifetime with the purchase of Eddie's lowrider, as Latino Heat's legacy lives on nearly 2 decades after his untimely passing.